One of the criteria for getting this car was to make sure that this time around I got a Demonic Red leather interior. I love these seats, but over time the seats get dull and dark from dye transfer, mostly from my jeans. You can also see some creases starting to form. So in today's video, I'm going to take you along as I clean and condition my seats. They'll go from dull and dark to bright, supple, and smelling like brand new leather. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. So I love my Demonic Red leather seats, but they do come with a little bit of some TLC required. And every spring and every winter, I do a little love on the seats to get them back to their original beauty. You get a lot of transfer from your jeans. You start getting some creases in them. There's all dirt and dust inside the crevices here. So we're gonna go through a process of how I clean and prep a seat. So you got a little bit of dirt in there. I do keep my interior clean. I do wipe it with slightly wet, like, just damp microfiber towels with the soft side, get in all the creases, but I haven't done it for a little while, so this will give you a nice show and tell of how I clean these seats. All right, let's start with the vacuum process. So I protect my seats from the hard plastic by basically using my finger as a guide for the vacuum, and I'm rubbing my finger on the seat and not the vacuum. Generally, you don't have to vacuum unless your seats are really dirty. You don't really want to be scrubbing your seats with dirt and dust in them. So if they're super dirty, grab that vacuum, get it in there, clean the seats out, and then get started with the rest of your cleaning process. All right, so let's talk about the products we're going to be using today to clean the seats. Microfiber towels are a must. Grab plenty of them. We've got the Chemical Guys Horsehair Long Bristle Brush. We've got the Chemical Guys Leather Cleaner, the Chemical Guys Leather Conditioner, and lastly the Chemical Guys Leather Serum, which is a top coat with a UV protectant. Now, when I clean the car, I generally use all three of these products. We use the leather cleaner, we use the leather conditioner, and then we use the leather serum. Now when we do the steering wheel, we only use the leather cleaner and the leather serum to give you that non-greasy UV protection for your leather. So our first cleaning process, and now you see I have perforated leather. We're gonna use this, and then we're gonna use a shop vac to pull any of the moisture out of the perforated leather. I like to spray the brush and go to town, especially on the areas that are darkened by my jeans. You know what I should have taken a before and after picture. Let's give this a nice wipe. You'll see, got some of that nice jean dirt coming off of there. But again, some of you may be afraid about getting, foam and everything inside the leather perforations. That's fine. We'll vacuum that out. And the scrubbing actually takes a lot more out. So it might be worthwhile, even though if your seats look clean like mine, they're still getting kind of dirty. Also, you want to make sure this is not a scrub brush. This is horsehair or boar's hair. One of the two. It's soft. It's got enough scrubbing power, but it's not scratchy. It's not going to damage your leather. As you can see, all that foam has dissipated when we go over it with the vacuum. I'll show you how to do that, without scratching the seats. You can use the sharp end of the brush to get in these corners here. I'll flush out some dirt. Now, the dirtier your seats are, the more you're going to have to scrub. For those of you with very dirty seats, there's another option you can use, and that would be a steamer. You would take the steamer. This one has a scrub attachment, which you will not use on your seats. You wrap the steamer in your microfiber. Okay, before you do that though, each time you press the steamer, a whole bunch of water comes out that's collected in the tube. You get that out. So Now we got fresh steam. We're gonna wrap this up, put a little bit of cleaner on your seat in the areas that are really bad, and work it in. You only need a little bit of steam. Then you can use that same rag that's hot with the steam and help scrub it free. And this you would be reserved for those really dirty areas where you got a lot of gene transfer or dirt or a stain that you want to get out. You just keep using a microfiber, the cleaner, and some steam. You blot it dry, you do little sections at a time. You don't heat up the area a lot. So if you want to dry out your leather, what you do, another microfiber towel, soft side down, you put it on your vacuum. Okay. And you bring it over the seat, and what you're doing is you're sucking all the moisture into the microfiber, and you're not scratching your seats. You can also do in this creases, the threaded areas. All right, now you can obviously use a microfiber pad for this, but today we're going to use a microfiber towel. Now I'm not going to use the soft side, I'm going to use the little bit more tighter woven side, and then we've got a buff off rag that is nice and soft as well. So first we're going to start with the leather conditioner. We're going to shake it up really well. Okay, the first little bits of times you use it, you got to use a decent amount to get this nice and wet. I do not recommend putting this directly on your perforated leather. You just want to work it in, and then we paint it on. Smells amazing, just like fresh leather. Again, you just got to keep adding it until, so don't forget, you're going to buff all the excess off. Once you have a nice foundation and no gloops over here, you come across your perforations, all your seams. Let it sit on there for a bit. Just make sure it looks wet. Each time you add, squish it in, wipe it on a firm leather area, then go for the perforations. You don't want to get glops of this stuff stuck inside the perforations. And if you do, you can use the vacuum method to suck it out. You want to be careful with too much. That's why I like to do the larger areas first, so we avoid getting goobers of it inside stuff. You can be generous with this because whatever is not soaked into the seat, you're going to wipe off at the end. So don't worry about having slick seats that are going to ruin your pants. That's not going to happen. You want to prevent the cracks and premature aging of the seats. You definitely want to condition the leather. All right, we're going to let this sit for a few minutes. Then we're going to come back and buff it off. All right, it's time to buff off all the excess. There's no special purpose for this towel other than I just like to have one color that's for on, one color that's for off. As you can see, we have a nice glossy finish on the seats. And again, if you have any concerns with goopiness inside any of the perforations, you can use that vacuum technique to get that out. Now we're going to switch to the protectant serum. Same exact installation techniques. Get it nice and wet. You're gonna have to put it on the rag a few times. While I get the rag wet, I work on the flat areas so I don't have a buildup inside creases. It's like you're painting this stuff on. You're gonna see wet areas. You know where you've completed. This has a really nice smell. Your car's gonna smell like fresh leather for quite a few days after applying this, possibly weeks. Now I've used this stuff on my Magnum. I've used this stuff on my wife's car and it's worked out amazing, and it's keeping these seats in great shape. So in the first 2 years of owning my Scat Pack, I didn't use any products like this, and within the first 2 years this area of my seat had completely worn down and I had some cracking over here. So I'm hoping with regular applications, maybe I'll step it up to 3 or 4 times a year, that my seats will stay in really good shape. All right, we'll be back in a little bit just to buff this off, and we're done with these seats. All right, it's time to buff it all off. On the Magnum interior, I got the interior used. It was a little bit dirty. I used the scrubbing method and the cleaning method and the treatment method to restore that leather to its almost new condition. I mean, it only had 20,000 kilometers on it. It was from Canada, so it's Canadian leather, you know. And we're good. That's it. We got nice clean seats. All the seams are clean. It's treated. It's a little bit more supple. Like that word. So for these areas, no need to clean these areas with you on camera, but basically here we wipe this down with an all-purpose cleaner, and then we top it with some 303 protectant, and that stays for months at a time. But again, we try and keep this car absolutely as clean as possible. As you can see, this is nice and clean. Last weekend, drove around, there's salt and stuff on the ground. Quick work with the steamer, got all that out. Nice and clean. Looks brand new. There's no treatment on this. I will not put leather cleaner or 303 or anything on these mats because they have a nice grippy texture. They're not slippery, so when my feet are wet, they stay put. So I don't want to start introducing like slick surfaces to that. So these mats are naturally this shiny. I'll have links to all the products in this video in the description below. If they're Amazon, they're my Amazon affiliate links, which means I can recommend any brand that I want, and Amazon will give me a little bit of the profit. So I'm not forced to tell you, you gotta buy Adams, you gotta buy Chemical Guys. But yeah, if you guys are interested in helping out the channel, using those links below is one way to do it. Another way to help the channel is grab some of our merch. There's a merch link down below as well. Got some pretty cool Challenger t-shirts, sweatshirts, and so on. Check those out. If you guys found this video on cleaning and conditioning your seats helpful, please feel free to gently press that like button. If you're stopping by for the first time, check out my other content and consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching.